Hello, how are you? So, I want to talk about a book. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, or as I like to refer to it, Single Appreciation Day. And since my only Valentine was probably my cat, I decided to spend my night finishing and reading basically almost this entire book, Remembrance by Meg Cabot. This freaking book! Alright, so if you've ever heard of the Mediator series by Meg Cabot, this will contain spoilers. This will contain spoilers for this specific book itself, so yeah. So a little bit of backstory. I became obsessed with the Mediator series probably in about 2010. I fell head over heels in love with these characters. To this day, the main protagonist, soooo Simon, is one of my all-time favorite female heroines of YA. And Jesse De Silva, the guy, he's like, I'm in love. Literally. Like, he's perfect. And I'll come back to that. It's a series of, I think, 6 books written in the 2000s. They all follow a mediator named soooo Simon, or Susanna if you're Jesse. And she can not just talk to ghosts, but, like, interact with them, touch them, and it's her job to help them cross over, to send them off into the other realm. That's her job, that's what she does. And she moves to California and walks into her brand new bedroom as a 16-year-old, and there's ghosts sitting there on her freaking bay window seat, which, hello, please, can I have? Reasons why I love soooo. She's snarky as hell. She's badass as hell. She does not take anything from anybody. If you're looking for a series where the main heroine kicks butt, then you need to freaking read this series. The original books follow soooo through high school, and each book is basically just centered around a ghost story that just kind of helps progress soooo's story along. And her relationship with Jesse, the ghost that was in her room. Ooh, spoiler, eventually in book 6. I haven't read these in like 2 or 3 years. I'm so sorry. Pretty sure in book 6 he's able to go back in time and basically bring him into this realm, so he is no longer a ghost, but a human. He's alive. He can breathe now. He's not cold or dead. And they finally are able to well, I mean, they could kind of get together since she can touch ghosts. But they're officially able to get together, and like he can meet her parents and stuff, and they're a thing, and I ship them so hard reading this book series. Oh my god, I love them. And when Meg Cabot announced that she was writing this final Mediator novel, I was so excited. I love and I hate when authors do this, because either it's going to be epic and it's going to wrap everything up and you're going to love how it ends, or it's just gonna be a huge letdown and it's just gonna kind of suck and you're just gonna wish you never read it. This was the first one. I am so in love with this book and I'm so happy with how she ended it and what she did with the characters. I feel like this was a perfect tied up with a bow story. Does that make sense? Okay, why you could read this book as a standalone and not have to read the entire series. Because she wrote this almost as a standalone. It's like 9 years later. So Susan's not 16 anymore, she's in her 20s. Jesse and soooo are engaged. There is also a novella of them getting engaged, and I never read that, and I really, really need to. There's even a little note at the beginning of this book saying, you know, it's basically okay if you haven't read the series, you can just read from here, you'll understand it, it's okay. She introduces characters all over again. Not so it's monotonous if you've read the story, but it's so that you can make sense of it if you haven't read the original series. We get to revisit old characters that we loved, like her brothers, and she used to refer to her 3 stepbrothers as Dopey, Sleepy, and Doc, and now she refers to them as their actual names, but her one brother's triplets she calls Mopsy, Flopsy, and Cottontail. We get to revisit her best friend, Father Dominic, who is like her mentor, and it's just like you're like, what's a good analogy? It's like just slipping on a coat that you used to love to wear, and you kind of forgot that it was in the back of your closet, and one day it was kind of cold out, and you found it, and you put it on, and you're like, oh my god, I missed how this felt. That's what this book is like, okay? If you've read the original series. If you haven't read the original series, I think you could really enjoy it as just a story. So basic plotline of the story is their old house was put on the market by soooo's old ex and kind of enemy, in her mind, Paul Slater. And because Jesse is an 18th century used to be ghost, he's kind of old-fashioned. And apparently, like, if they tear down the house that Jesse died in, it'll release, like, this demon inside of him. So Paul makes a deal with soooo that if she leaves Jesse and comes with him, he won't tear down the house, and therefore Jesse will not become a killing, rampaging demon. Along with that storyline, there's a side storyline of a ghost story. I love that she brought the characters into the 21st century, because, like, they're texting and stuff, and Jessie always texts in Spanish. It's adorable. Oh my god, they get the most racist wedding gift. This old frenemy that, well, it wasn't even frenemy, they hated each other, but that Soosh used to have in high school. If I didn't say before, Jessie is Hispanic. They get a tortilla maker. I was like, what? I loved the last chapter of this book so much. It was probably my favorite part of the story because it just tied everything up. It was just so good to see these characters again and just know that everything's okay and they're all happy and I'm kneeling right now so that I'm actually in frame and it's really starting to hurt my legs. Highly recommend this book. I recommend the entire series. I want to come back to Jessie really quick. Jessie is like so underrated in the YA world. I think this entire book series is underrated, honestly. He is this adorable, sweet, respective, old-fashioned, you know, ghost hanging out in this girl's bedroom. And even after he is now a human and became a doctor and just did everything that he wanted to do, I would read it if I were you. I would read this, especially if you read the original series and you're wondering if you should read this or not. You definitely should. It's beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Thank you.